Have you ever wondered if you have a spirit guide? Or maybe you know you have a spirit guide, but you really want to go deeper in that connection. Or maybe you're an empath or highly sensitive, thinking, what can my spirit guides do specifically that are beneficial for me as an empath or highly sensitive person? Well, I'm Deepa Lou, and I'm the Creative Mystic, and I'm an empath, so I'm going to share with you everything from my own personal experience and what I've learned from working with my coaching clients and my students that are empaths and highly sensitive. So I'm going to be starting a 3-part series called Unlocking the Secrets to Connecting with Your Spirit Guides and how you can actually have it change your life. So let's get going. So in part 1, which is today, I'm going to share with you what your spirit guides are here to do for you, and 2, what keeps your spirit guides at bay. Okay, in part 2, I'm going to be sharing with you what awakens you to that connection and what weakens the connection. And in part 3, I'm going to share with you what strengthens your connection and how they're really here to help you. I realized I should share with you a little bit about my story, how I got involved with working with spirit guides. And the reason why I want to share this with you is because I realized that a lot of people come in believing that if you weren't born with this, you're never going to get this gift. And I want to share with you that I was not born connecting with the spirit guides. I was not born believing in spirit guides. In fact, I grew up in a family that was very agnostic. We did celebrate Christmas and Easter and things like that, but my mother did not do it because of the Christian belief. She was very agnostic and questioning whether there was a God. And so I grew up without any framework or belief system around believing in angels or fairies or spirit guides. And so I grew up questioning about, is there a God? Are there spirit guides? And came to my own path of finding Buddhism, where I started practicing Buddhism. And as I went deeper into Buddhism, started to realize that there's oneness in all spiritual paths, that they're all here for a reason, and that we're all in different places, and that, you know, we should embrace where each and every person is and what they're practicing. And then I realized that there were these threads of spiritual truths that ran in all paths. And I became interfaith and became a yoga teacher, and I call myself a Buddhist yogi. But the amazing thing about all this and all the years I was practicing was I was not a visual person. Still never connected to anything with a spirit guide, didn't have visions or could visualize even things when I would do guided meditations. You've been like that, where you do a guided meditation and you don't see anything, or it's really difficult for you to envision what you see? I was like that. Couldn't see a thing. And just kind of went along thinking, okay, I'm an empath. I sense things, I feel things, and that's good. That's how my intuition works. That's how everything works. Still not knowing whether I believe in spirit guides. And one day my wife said, let's go to this group at this Universalist church, where they were going to do this group with mediums who are going to connect and tell you about any spirits that were around you. And I thought, okay, I'll go with you, out of curiosity, but skepticism was there. So we go to this group, and we're sitting around, and there's 3 mediums there, and they're giving, messages to different people that are there, and some of them are saying that, there's certain people around me and spirits around me, and I'm kind of like, what they're describing is not ringing a bell or resonating with me at all, but I'm just like, okay, I'm always open, even if it doesn't resonate with me, but I'm just being open. And all of a sudden, one of the guys, one of the mediums, looks at me straight in the eye and says, when spirits show up, they don't look like dead people in the movies, like how they represented in the movies. And I just smiled at him. But on the inside, I knew he hit a nail on the head, that I had a fear that a spirit or a spirit guide was going to show up in a way that I was, uncomfortable with, that I was afraid of. Especially like, how they represented in the movies of these, how they come up looking bloody or scary or, in some way. So I thought, oh, he's hit something that's, hitting the spot for me. But the circle continues, and all of a sudden, one of the women says to me, who's one of the mediums, she says, well, maybe this is symbolic, I'm not really sure, but there's this big brown bunny on your lap. And again, I smiled. Didn't say anything, because she was giving me the message of what the bunny was there for and such, and moved on. At the end of the circle, I walked up to her and I said, that bunny that you saw on my lap was not symbolic. About 2 months before, what I call my soul bunny, she had just passed away. And I realized when that woman said, "There's a bunny on your lap," that it was my soul bunny showing up, letting me know that she was here. And that was the first inkling that, there are spirits that come to be with you. There are spirits that want to, help you or be with you. That was my first inkling of it. But still, went along in my life, not thinking much about it. And as we were doing the business, my wife said to me, "You should take this oil painting class. You're so creative. You love making things." And so I thought, okay, let me take it. So I take this oil painting class, and I loved it. So I started doing the class every day, almost a week. 4 or 5 days a week, I'd go to the art studio. And as I was taking the lessons, I realized I want to paint a person. I want to paint a spiritual soul. And I decided to paint Yogananda. And Yogananda is a spiritual Swami from India. And I wanted to paint Yogananda so that people would feel when they looked at that image that his power and his blessings were there, and that they would feel his energy. And so I painted him, and I was putting all this intention in and praying over it and putting in, uh, prayers and listening to certain music and his voice and infusing that painting with his energy and blessings. And I get done with them and I hang them up to dry, and about a week later, a woman comes up to me who I did not know from the art studio and says to me, "Are you the one who painted Yogananda?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I am." And she looks at me and she goes, "Well, I just have to tell you, when I look at this painting, I feel his energy and his vibration, his power, and I feel like I'm being blessed by him." And on the outside, I went, "Oh, thank you." And on the inside, I was like, "Oh my goodness, it worked, it worked, it worked." And I was just like, oh. And that was the beginning of my journey of working with spirit guides. From there, I did another painting of Our Lady of Guadalupe and had a similar experience. And I then continued to meditate and chant like I do every morning, every evening. And all of a sudden, one day in meditation, a vision came to me. And at first, I didn't know what that vision was. I just saw, this vision happened to look like Mother Mary. And then visions kept coming. Some of them were angels, some of them, and I didn't know why they were coming at first, but I thought, I'm becoming a visual person. But as I continued to have these visions, I got the download, a intuitive message that came to me that I was actually to create these into spirit guide portals, doorways to connecting with the divine presence. And each of these spirit guide portals started coming with a reason why they were showing up on the planet, why they wanted me to create them into this physical form, so that they could be a blessing to you and to the planet and to the world, to everybody in it, and to bring a specific message about, it could be about anything. I have every spirit guides that are about compassion, and the heart chakra angel, and some about love and prosperity. They all came in with a specific, here's what we want to do for you. And so that's how I started to get introduced to the spirit guides. And then as I continued to create those portals, I was given the download to put on my website that I could tune into someone's energy, like specifically like your energy, and I can meditate with you, and I'll be able to see your spirit guide that's here to help you overcome a challenge or manifest a purpose that you want to manifest. And so I put it up on my website because at that point I was already at the point in my life where I did my best to follow divine guidance. And so I put it up. Didn't do anything with it for a year because I never told a soul. Why did I not tell a soul? Because I was afraid. You ever been that place where you're afraid, so you don't want to say anything? So I didn't tell a soul. And I started to realize after about a year that, gee, I'm in the spiritual closet a little bit. I kind of hide this stuff about spirit guides because what? I thought people were going to think I'm weird. That, you know, they're going to think like she's woo-woo or like she's crazy. And so I realized I needed to come out of the spiritual closet. Have you ever been there? Or maybe you're there right now where you're not quite out of the spiritual closet? Highly recommend you come out of the spiritual closet with people that you feel safe with first. But I was at the point where, you know what, I'm already out with the people I feel safe with. I want to just come completely out of the closet about my spiritual gifts. And so I got up in a business training that we were taking many years ago. And I said, you know what? And I just kind of announced all the spiritual things I do, just because I wanted to come out of that closet. Went home from that training, and 24 hours later, I get an email from somebody saying, I see on your website that you do this spirit guide portal, personal spirit guide portal. I think I want one. I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm supposed to do this. And I had gotten the divine uh, guidance of how to do it with somebody, about do a first appointment on Zoom, tune into their energy, meditate together, help them clarify an intentional statement, and then meditate. And then you're going to go away and paint the portal, create it, infuse it with all the vibration, the energy, and specifically the message that they came with to help them overcome that challenge or manifest a person, not person, manifest a purpose. And from there, then give them the message and show them the spirit guide in the next appointment. And so I did it, but I did it the whole time afraid, like, oh, what if I can't do it? What if it doesn't work? And so I did the appointment. Thought the worst thing that happens, I have to give her money back. But I did the appointment, and I got a vision. I went away and painted it, what I saw, and infused the message that I was given that was to be in it, and set up the second appointment. But when I was creating it, I was afraid the whole time, because in the first appointment, all she did was talk about Mother Mary. Mother Mary, Mother Mary, Mother Mary. She would say Mother Mary, Mother Mary, Mother Mary throughout the whole time, and then she made it her intentional statement. And what I saw was not Mother Mary. But I painted what I saw. We got to the second appointment, and I, because it's always like a big reveal, it's a surprise. And I showed her the painting, and I put it up, and all of a sudden she leans closer to the Zoom camera, and she says, and I could see a little tear coming out of her eye. And I could see her tears, and I thought, I think this is good. And she said, well, I didn't tell you this, but I had an Akashic reading many, many years ago, and I was told that I was to work with a fairy. And what I had painted was a fairy. And the amazing, even more amazing thing about the story was when I delivered it, because we just happened to be going to the same live event. So instead of putting it in the mail, which is what I do with most of my personal spirit guide portals that I create for people, is I said, well, I'll bring it to you because we're going to the same event. I'll just bring it to you so you can get it. And she's like, okay, great. So we go to the event, and I give her personal spirit guide portal, and she shows me, she goes, well, I have to show you this. She goes, this shows me this little photo. And she said, when I did the Akashic reading, this is what the Akashic reader gave me as the fairy I was to work with. And she showed me the image, and when I saw it, it had the same flowing skirt that twirled that I had painted, and it was this orangey color that I had painted, and there was just like all these things that I had put into the image that were in that image. And so that was when I finally realized, like, oh, this is not like something I've made up, and it's not a joke, or this is something to really help people to step into whatever they're wanting to step into and to connect with their spirit guides, because your spirit guides are here to help you overcome challenges, manifest a purpose. And the reason why they come to you is because they want to help you have faster transformation. They want to help you get over those obstacles. Have you ever been there where you really see yourself either feeling stuck or afraid and not moving forward, or you catch yourself moving forward and you keep circling around between maybe 3 or 4 different things that keeps you stuck, not moving forward, because you don't put your energy into one thing at all. So your spirit guides come to you to help you to overcome this. So you're not staying stuck. You're not circling around, to overcome those belief systems, to heal what's keeping you from moving forward. Because the only reason why you're not moving forward, that you're not manifesting a life that you really love and feel fulfilled and inspired by, is because of emotional wounds and belief systems that you're afraid of. so you don't move forward. Okay, so specifically why your spirit guides are here and what they do for you is to help you heal those emotional wounds, overcome those beliefs, those limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck, because we have to change those things, and help you have faster transformation through healing, spiritual truth, and also their blessings, because it is about the causes you make, but also there's a divine grace that's here to help us. Now, we can't do nothing. We have to move forward, and that's part of the problem. Is sometimes people think divine grace is I don't have to do anything, but you do have to do something, at least in the consciousness of your thoughts and beliefs, at the bare minimum. Okay, so how much you have to do depends on your level of belief, your level of how much you practice living the spiritual truths, how much you actually are connected with higher power. So number 2, what keeps your spirit guides at bay? The first thing that keeps your spirit guides at bay are your attachments. Now you might be thinking, attachments to what? Right? Well, attachments. We all have attachments. And the biggest attachment that keeps your spirit guides at bay is your attachment to how they show up. Now, I want you to understand, your spirit guides are always with you. You have some that are with you throughout your entire life, and you have ones that drop in to help you overcome a specific challenge or manifest a purpose. Now, those ones who drop in don't leave until you actually overcome that challenge or manifest that purpose. The ones with you that are here for your life are always with you. But when I say keep them at bay, what I'm saying is that the very thing that keeps them at bay is actually you. They're with you, but you're not actually understanding or hearing the communication that they are trying to bless you with. And so one of the things, the biggest things that keeps you from actually receiving and recognizing that they've communicated a message to you, some kind of blessing or message, is your attachments to how it shows up. So I want to share a story with you. I was one time with some friends of ours many years ago, when I lived in California. That's where I'm from originally, where they were coming to visit us, or they're not coming, they were with us visiting us, and they were from New York. And they were really been questioning whether we want to move to California. And they kept looking for a sign. And they'd been sharing with us in the time they'd been there about things that had been happening. And to me, they'd gotten several things that looked like divine guidance telling them to move to California, but they didn't see it. And so I asked them, I said, well, what are you looking for? What kind of sign are you looking for? And the guy says, well, I want a definite sign, something that's crystal clear on if we're supposed to move to California. And I said, well, it seems like you've gotten some crystal clear guidance to move here, but obviously you're looking for it in a different way. What are you looking for? And he says, well, I really want to just know this is the truth of what I'm supposed to do. And I said, well, I know, but I mean, are you waiting for the booming voice of God and for God to be standing in front of you, before you believe it? And he said, well, yeah, I want some kind of physical, like I hear it with my ears and almost see some kind of spirit guide or God telling him that he was to move to California. And I said, well, you might be waiting a long time. I don't want to limit you, but I haven't met anybody yet who's had that experience actually, that's alive at this point. And so, I don't find that that's how most people get their intuitive guidance. Is that there's the big booming voice of God, and that God actually shows up physically for them. And so his attachment to wanting it a specific way was preventing him from actually being able to recognize and receive the messages that were coming into his life. And the other attachment that stops, and it's similar but a little bit different, okay, is that have you ever admired somebody that has a gift? Like maybe they're an intuitive reader or a Reiki person, and you want that message to come exactly how they receive their messages. That again is an attachment, because you have your own unique wiring and how spirit speaks to you, your spirit guides speak to you, is going to be unique and different than possibly all the people around you. And so if you're wanting that, having that attachment that shows up this way, how like that person, you're going to find yourself struggling. And so those are the two attachments. So number 2 of what keeps your spirit guides at bay: paradigms and belief systems. Everybody's grown up with paradigms and beliefs. Paradigms are your belief systems, the beliefs that you have of who you are, how you are, how the world operates. The biggest programming that stops you from connecting with your guides is, I'll believe it when I see it. Right? You're waiting to see something with your physical eyes before you're going to believe it. Now you might be saying, oh, no, I don't believe that, but I don't have a connection with my guides. But don't you ever catch yourself doubting, like in your head saying, am I making this up? I know I did that for a long time, where I was thinking, I'm making this up. I had to get some proof by doing before I started to believe that I'm here to help you with your spirit guides. And so, that I believe it when I see it is the farthest thing from spiritual truth. In fact, if you want to live more of the spiritual truth, you want to have more results in your life, if you're one who believes in manifesting, law of attraction types of things, you have to actually, I'll believe it, then I'll see it. It's the opposite. I'll believe it, then I'll see it. And that's what's going to make the difference. So that's one of the biggest beliefs. The other big belief that stops people is, like for me, I was questioning all the time because I didn't grow up with the belief system of, like I said, angels and fairies and spirit guides. That belief kept me in this circle of, like I said, am I making this up? Is this real? Is this true? That kept me thinking that it wasn't possible. So there are many, many other beliefs and paradigms that stop you from connecting. It's one of the things I'm going to be covering in my Connect to Your Self-Love Spirit Guide more in depth. But that's the big one that you can start to become aware of as, am I operating in, I'll believe it when I see it? Because if you are, you're never going to connect deeply with your spirit guides, because you're most likely not going to physically see them with your physical eyes. Okay? Number 3, the third reason why, or that keeps your spirit guides at bay, is fear. Remember I told you my story about the fear I had? But now you're going to go, but you got your guides. But I had numerous years before, because the big fear was that they were going to show up in some form that was scary to me. Like a scary movie, maybe blood or dead or something. Now that's not true at all. I have learned that from the many years I've been working with my spirit guides. But that fear of it was really like, I don't want this in my life. And I kept them, I was the one keeping my spirit guides away by that fear of I'm not open to this. I don't want to see it because it might be something scary, might be something that I don't like. And so I just kept them at bay. And I had to release that fear and start to be open to it. They're not scary. It's going to be something good. Or at least it's not going to be something scary. I let that part go, okay? So whatever fears you have, my other fear that kept away was my fear of what other people would think, that they thought I'd be loopy or weird or crazy. That kept them at bay, because I couldn't be totally open if I was always worried about everybody else. And that's the thing about when you're an empath or highly sensitive. You very easily pick up on and know when people are thinking something like, this is crazy, even though they're not saying it. And so that sometimes can influence you even more, because you actually sense it and pick it up from them, that their energy and their belief systems and their emotions are like, who is she? Or that's nuts. And so it can influence you if you're not careful. And so you want to become aware of that. This isn't how it actually, your spirit guides help you yet. We're going to talk about that in a future one. But this is what you want to be aware of in order to step into connecting with your spirit guides, that fear, okay? So number 4, the fourth one is that feeling of, who do you think you are? You don't think you're good enough, and if you actually owned your connection with your spirit guides, you would be being arrogant or cocky. Women especially have this, because we've been raised to think that we're supposed to put everybody first and put ourselves second, and it's been a process to actually step into and put yourself first. And so that, who do you think you are, puts up blinders, puts up you actually like putting up a wall to receiving that connection, those messages from your spirit guides, because they are with you here 24/7. It's just what's going on with us that's stopping it. And so when you become aware of these 4 things that keep it at bay, let's recap for a moment: the attachments, your belief systems that hold you back, your fears, and then who you think you are, like you're not good enough, that you don't deserve this. And I'm here to tell you, you do deserve this, okay? Connecting with your spirit guides is all about giving you that faster transformation that, don't you want? I know I've always wanted it. Whenever there's a challenge, wouldn't you like that challenge to go, like get through it faster, move to the next place faster? Well, connecting with your guides, your spirit guides, is all about that. Specifically, I've gotten recent message from Holy Mary, Mother of Love, that your self-love spirit guide is the one that's here to help you to really transform this, because you got to love yourself. Us not loving ourselves is also what pushes things away. And that's in that belief, that last one of who you think you are, is that dislike or self-hatred totally keeps you from having that connection. So if you know you're ready and you'd really like to go deeper, please subscribe to get part 2 and part 3. Also, if you know you're ready, like you'd really like to get some support of a class and other people and community, please check out my program that I'm going to do, a 2-month program called Connect to Your Self-Love Spirit Guide. I'd love to see you there. If you have any questions, please reach out, comment, give me a share. I'd love to hear anything, questions that you have, or feedback. Have a miraculous day. Blessings.